G'day guys, today we're going to be doing another shared reading. And it's a new book today, so hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this one. But whilst we're reading through this, I want you guys to pay particular attention to the genre of text that this book is. Whilst it may come across as just another story, I want you to pay particular attention, and we'll see what we can come up with in regards to what kind of text it is. So as we've been mentioning before, you can learn a lot from the front cover here. So I've blocked out the name of the story. I want you guys to tell me what sort of things you see here. Yeah? Yes, David. That's very true. You got multiple Australian animals, so it's obviously set in Australia. We got a platypus and the dingo holding some other animal here. So if we take away that and see the name of the story, Wombat Stew. It's by Marcia K. Vaughan, illustrated by Pamela Lofts. So we obviously can tell that's a wombat now. But I wonder what this story's about. Let's jump in and find out. One day, on the banks of a billabong, a very clever dingo caught a wombat and decided to make wombat stew. Wombat stew. Gooey brewy, yummy chewy, wombat stew. Platypus came ambling up the bank. "Good day, Dingo," he said, snapping his bill. "What is all that water for?" "I'm brewing up a gooey chewy stew with that fat wombat," said Dingo with a toothy grin. He's obviously very happy about the dingo he's caught. There you can see all his teeth in that smile. "If you ask me," said Platypus, "the best thing for gooey stew is mud. Big blobs of billabong mud." "Big blobs of mud," Dingo laughed. "What a good idea. Righto, in they go." So Platypus scooped up big blobs of mud with his tail and tipped them into his billy can. Around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang, "Wombat stew, wombat stew, gooey brewy, yummy chewy wombat stew." Waltzing out from the shade of the ironbarks came Emu. She arched her graceful neck over the brew. "Oh, Dingo," she fluttered, "what have we here?" "Gooey chewy wombat stew," boasted Dingo. "If only they were a bit more chewy," she sighed. "But don't worry, a few feathers will set it right." "Feathers?" Dingo smiled. "That would be chewy. Righto, in they go." So into the gooey brew, Emu dipped her finest feathers. Around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang, "Wombat stew, crunchy munchy for my lunchy, wombat stew." Old Blue Tongue the lizard came sliding off his sun-soaked rock. "Silly Dingo," he hissed, "there are no flies in your stew. Can't be a wombat stew without crunchy flies in it." And he stuck out his bright blue tongue. See there, his bright blue tongue? "There's a lot to be said for flies," agreed Dingo, rubbing his paws together. "Righto, in they go." So Lizard snapped up hundreds of flies from the air with his long tongue and flipped them into the gooey chewy stew. Around and around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang, "Wombat stew, crunchy munchy for my lunchy, wombat stew." We're starting to see a bit of a trend here. Got all these other animals telling Dingo different ingredients to put into a stew. That might give you a hint at what kind of genre we're looking at here. Up through the red dust popped Echidna, Wait a bit. Not so fast, he bristled, shaking the red dust from his quills. Now I've been listening to all this advice, and take it from me. For a munchy stew, you need slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. Let's see, getting a bit bossy there, poking Dingo in the belly. Dingo wagged his tail. Why, I should have thought of that. Righto, in they go. So Echidna dug up all sorts of creepy crawlies and dropped them in the gooey, chewy, crunchy stew. The very clever Dingo stirred and stirred, and all while singing, Wombat stew, hot and spicy, oh so nicey, wombat stew. Just then a sleepy-eyed koala climbed down from the scribbly gum tree. Look here, he yawned. Any bush cook knows you can't make a spicy stew without gum nuts. Leave it to a koala to think of gum nuts, Dingo laughed and licked his whiskers. Righto, in they go. And into the gooey, chewy, crunchy, munchy stew, Koala shook lots and lots of gum nuts. You see them all falling down there. Aha! Cried Dingo. Now my stew is missing only one thing. What's that? Asked the other animals. That fat wombat. Oh, you can see here. It's gone to grab the wombat. This might not end well. Wait, stop! Hang on, Dingo. You can't put that wombat in the stew yet. Why not? You haven't tasted it. Righto, I'll taste it. And that very clever Dingo bent over the billy and took a great big slurp of stew. I'm poisoned, he howled. You've all tricked me. Oh, he doesn't look very well there. And he dashed away deep into the bush, never again to sing. Wombat stew, gruey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. So that's the end of our book. So if you were paying attention there and you really thought about what genre this novel was, you can see here when our other animals get introduced, they all recommend a different ingredient for Dingo's stew. Now what kind of text could this be? Raise your hand, Sex. Sarah? Yeah, it could be. What about you, Michael? I think you're on the right track there, Michael. This is like a recipe. It's also known as a procedure. So this was a procedure, this book. So if we can break up into smaller groups, we'll get to making our own wombat stew procedures in a minute. So yeah, just go to your desks and I'll be with you in a second.